The air was cold, the sky beautiful. The evening sky at the end of each day looked different from the last. Each sunset could be seen for one day and one day only. Though the sky may not look dramatically different to the human eye from one day to the next. Every day we wake up a new person and forget the beautiful sights, the moments of heartbreak, and all the other fleeting feelings that seemed so real the day before. Oh man, I would like to be that person. Simple statements such as these felt all the more profound in the still air of the mountains, more bone-piercing than the winter cold itself. Sojiro stared up at the sky as if he'd too forgotten when and where he was. Naoka's look of stunned surprise brought him back to the present.
なんだ、早かったな、青崎。
Sojiro turned to face Naoka, who had just only stepped outside their family's yard. At first, she had been too shocked to move or speak, but she quickly regained her composure and marched forward. Guess we're still intact with our memories and stuff. She continued as though she was standing right before him with an intense scowl on her face. Sojiro slouched instinctively, bracing for impact. He had not the slightest idea what could have made her so angry.
なんでまだここにいるのよ。
After I finally managed to convince myself that things were over, she was obliviously irritated with him, in any case. The anger would have to subside before she could decide whether she was happy or sad to see him. Humans get angry when things do not go the way they had hoped. Yeah?
さっきから10分と20秒も経ってない。なんでこんなところで突っ立ってるのよ、あんた。
It was supposed to have taken an entire day for her grandfather to erase his memories from the past month. She had been planning to let her grandfather handle all the details, and yet here Sojiro was, staring downward at the sky. He's no astrologer. He just likes looking at the night sky. Bombarded with Naoka's unspoken emotion, he proceeded to explain himself.
あの老人からの伝言だけど、記憶の消去は君の役目で人に頼るな。だそうだ。今日呼ばれたのは単に悪口を聞かせたかっただけらしいよ。
Hearing this, Naoka finally began to feel like herself again. Despite having been ready to dish out a punishment only a few moments earlier, she now felt quite calm.
そっか。
And Sojiro?
人
Really?
に任せるなんて確かに私らしくなかった。
The intense look in her eyes slowly faded to her usual mildly irritated expression. It relieved Sojiro to see her like this. She was finally back to her normal self.
納得いったなら行こう。急がないと最終電車に間に合わない。
With that, he walked off without waiting for an answer. Naoka stared at his retreating figure for a brief moment before quietly cursing him under her breath and following after him. Their descent back to the station was much easier than the way there. A sheet of darkness spread out below them. There in the middle of that ocean of black was a single light. The tiny glowing station. With hugging arms. Ready to welcome us back. They walked for some time in silence. Naoka recalled their earlier conversation and felt she had been too naive. She should have avoided all the serious stuff if this was how things were going to end up. Sojiro, meanwhile, was thinking of nothing at all, just like usual. For him, the silence felt quite natural, while for her it was awkwardly uncomfortable. Suddenly, Sojiro blurted out the strangest thing without thinking. Eh?
アリスにはお餅を買っていってあげよ
Ah, good idea. And not me? Alko's eyes grew wide, their pupils reduced to mere points. Alka, and now it's gone forever. Alko had so many questions going round in her hand when she wanted to rail at the paradox that was Sojiro.
お餅が何？
This marshmallow is good. It's tasty.
う。お土産。アリス一人で待っているんだから喜ぶと思う。
Alka raised her hand to her head in concern. Unprotected by the warmth of a pair of gloves, its slender fingers were white from the cold.
あの子にはそういうの逆効果だけど、宗十郎がやる分には大丈夫か。
His seemingly selfless attitude came in handy sometimes. Alice would most likely accept his gift without making a scene.
そうね。確かにアリスはこういうの根に持って口に出さずに恨んでるたちだけど。また、なんだってお土産がお餅なの？
だって食べたことなさそうだろ彼女。
All Alka could do in response to such a simple-minded observation was not an agreement. The image of Alice eating mochi popped into her head, and suddenly the prospect of getting back to the mansion felt a little more exciting.
あんたって本当に無心よね。そういえば前から不思議に思ってたんだけど、いつからアリスと仲良くなったの？そのきっかけが私にはわからないんだけど。
Alka peered at him the way she would at the strange specimen as he took a deep breath and launched into an earnest explanation.
大きなきっかけとかそういうのはないと思うけど、強いて言うなら初めて話した時かな。もっと確かになったのはロビーで話した時だろうね。
たったそれだけ？
That's more.
ああ、親しくなるっていうのはそういうことだろ。
Sojiro seemed to find her question odd. The way he and Alice communicated went beyond words. Alka could only assume that was how he did it.
そういえば、初めからアリスって呼び捨てだったものね、あんたは。
そうだっけ？よく覚えていないけど。それより何を怒ってるんだ青崎。
別に怒ってないわよ、私。
Said Alka was sulking. Her response was slightly cold, but also somewhat gentle. They approached the halfway point of the mountain path. The night sky appeared more distant as they neared the bottom, and Sojiro continued to stare absent-mindedly at the stars. Then it finally hit her why his behavior had been bothering her since their ascent. She realized he must be feeling nostalgia. He missed the way the stars looked from up in the mountains. Oh no, that's aliens coming to abduct you.
青崎。
He spoke without looking down from the heavens.
一つ聞きたいんだけど、君に後悔はあるのかな？
Hands jammed in his pockets. His breath was white in the night air. Alko had a vague feeling somewhere deep inside that he was only a figment of her imagination.
どうしたの？突然そんなこと聞いて。
いいから答えて。聞きたいんだ。君に悔いはあるのかないのかを。
It was a sad thing to be asked. He would be hurt one way or another, no matter how she answered. But he wanted an answer, and so she gave him one.
ないわよ、そんなの。だってそれをしないために今を頑張ってるんだもの。後悔なんてのはね、宗十郎。するものじゃなくて、なくしていくためにあるものなのよ。
Sojiro did not express any form of disagreement. Instead, he bit his lip and pushed down the flood of emotions that rose up inside him. He waved those formless, odorless forms with a small gesture of his hand still at his side.
そうか。後悔もなくなるものなのか。
Yeah. Pain was subtly visible on his face as he spoke. And yet, it was so vivid. So that the wolves were staring at us again. As much as he wanted to, he did not have the strength to say it aloud. He was not like her, able to speak her mind so readily. Maybe someday? The sky and the darkness were both far away now. Tonight's grand view, only to be seen this once. He hoped his beauty would remain in his mind forever. But what then of the regrets he had come to hold inside? Of the days he had spent that now shone like stars in the sky? Would they too be with him forever?
いい空ね。街じゃちょっと見れないな。
Alka mimicked Sojiro, looking up at the darkness overhead. The stars shone brighter here than in town. This clarity was thanks to the absence of any other lights amidst the darkness and smoke from cars. Sojiro stared at her with almost a sense of loathing. As beautiful as the stars were, they were not the real thing. Not here.
そうだね。でも、ここでも手は届きそうにない。
Not until I become an astronaut, that is. Eh? Sojiro's sudden negativity caused her to turn to him in shock. The anger in his eyes had died down now. Taking a breath, he began to speak as if talking to himself. His gaze now left the stars.
山ではね、青崎。星は本当に手が届きそうなんだ。届かないのは分かっていても、望めばつかめそうなぐらい近いのに。都会の星はそう思うことさえ許してくれない。
He was speaking of the sky in its purest state. The starry skies in the mountains far exceeded those of any urban planetarium. Their movement was like the pouring of rain. He spoke of the primal sky, unchanged from the past. Same sky humans had traced with their fingers since prehistoric times. For him, it was a past to which he could never return. A place to which he did not even know the way back.
今まで目に映る全てを山と比べていた。こんな場所は本当は嫌いだったんだ。今でも正直馴染めない。でもいつか比べるのは街になってしまうんだろう。自分はこっちに降りてきてしまったんだから。
That was his one regret. He lowered his gaze from the stars and turned to Aoka. Her eyes were unusually hesitant and looked slightly hurt. Was it empathy they showed? Or pity? Either way, he was the reason for the uncharacteristic look on her face now. He shut his eyes and nodded in response to her unspoken question.
うん。それは仕方のないことだ。ただ、そうなるのなら、そうなってしまう以上に、素晴らしいものを手に入れないといけない。後悔を、いつか、後悔と思わないために。
There was gratitude in Sojiro's voice as he confessed his feelings. Remnants from the past must one day be released. Lust must be come. He had lost it. It's everything. The moment she had answered his query.
やめてよね。私の一言でいちいち人生観変えられちゃ身が重いじゃない。
I don't know. about that one, Chief. She smiled weakly, averted her eyes as she spoke these hurtful words. Most likely she was being completely honest, and in that she was being true to herself.
それで祖父と何を話したの？あの人が他人に興味を持つなんてすごいことよ。
The topic had finally been broached, and yet Socialist said nothing. An empty reply can be used to buy time. They had nearly reached the flat road at the base of the mountain. The soft earth here would soon give way to the tightly packed dirt of the paths running between the rice fields. But before they got that far, Sojiro came to an abrupt halt. Closing his eyes, he listened carefully. He then gave a firm nod and turned to face Saoka.
おめでとう、青崎。
She blinked, not knowing what to make of it.
何よ、突然。
Are you giving away a prize? It was a perfectly natural response. The tension melted from his face as he said,
新しい年だ。
He now wore a smile full of joy. Dumbfounded, all Olga could do was stare back at his calm visage. A surprise attack hit her so hard she thought she could hear the shrine bell in Yashiroki ringing in the new year. She had known it was the last day of the year, but had not given it much thought beyond that. I didn't know. And so his second words gave her quite a shock. As if the girl who believed in the power of the bell all those years ago had come back.
そっか。午前0時でもう新しい年なんだ。
Yeah. She spoke in a hushed tone, as if this were shocking news. At the same time, a slight smile crept onto her face. A new year, indeed. She recalled the first time she had worn a full-length kimono, how she had not been particularly uncomfortable or embarrassed, but not especially pretty either. The only pretty thing about her had been the moment she smiled at herself in the mirror. Seeing the warmth in her eyes, Sojiro closed his own in satisfaction. It made him happy to see her like that.
いろいろあったけど、新しい年を君と迎えられてよかった。
Well, ain't that romantic? With that, he went walking off once more. Wow! I thought the balance winning alone was probably what spurred him into action. Naoko recalled his words as she walked alongside him. The moment he had declared the start of a new year. The way he had spoken so naturally. It made her suddenly feel like they had known each other for years. She could not be blamed for being filled with happiness at the thought. That was very adorable, holy crap. And yeah, the day would surely come, meant they would have to see their goodbyes. As my phone is about you with its 20% capacity. Until then, however, it would not do any harm to behave as if they were old friends. Well, at least they're friends. Until someday, he was a naive yet incredibly unique young man. As she walked, she wondered how long this fleeting feeling of friendship would last. She looked up wistfully at the sky, just the way Soldier had done earlier on their walk. Every star was out, without a cloud in the sky. The two strode down the mountain path, beneath stars that lay ever beyond their reach. Hey! He's gonna be surprised the moment someone walks back into this house. That's a nice mochi. Would have left if the scene cut it into Soldier being strangled by Alice and asking, "Why are you still here?" Sorry, I'm probably ruining the moment, but whatever. The case, whatever the case, I think we're done. It was on a lazy Sunday morning that I discovered the book. Eh? Oh. I never realized that you can go downstairs in this big library. Was I an intruder? No. Adventurer. Either way, I do made my way into the Forbidden Quadri Estate Library. Soldier? See the soldier? The book instantly drew my attention as it looked like it had been intentionally hidden there on the bookshelf. It was large enough to double as a shield, and so it took great effort for me to remove it from the shelf. Flipping through, I realized it was a grimoire of rune magecraft, and a first edition at that. Surprised as I was by my find, my search came to a halt on the page I'd been looking for. Not soldier. It was the rune for memory erasure that the Nordic gods had once used on a Valkyrie. Okay. For minutes, I simply stared at the page where the rune mythology was laid out. Or else? We'll see. And then, finally, I shut the book. I returned it to the shelf in an even harder to detect location than where I originally found it. That's when it hit me. I seen this book before somewhere. When and where exactly had I seen it though? Yeah, it was when he first invited me to spend time with him. The girl sitting before me had it in hand at the time. That must have been it. Unable to keep the smile off my face, I decided to put the book back exactly where I found it. It would be most difficult to find when mixed in with the other books on the shelf. However, out of respect for her gracious efforts, I decided to pretend I'd never seen it at all. I shelved my discovery, so to speak. That's when I heard the shouting of a familiar voice in the main building. Lately, he seemed to have found his calling as a housekeeper and had taken to cleaning every corner of the mansion. That was all well and good, but there were a few things that were off limits, which neither Alice nor I dared to touch. So okay. He was the type to open things without asking, which put us all in hot water. There had been an uproar when he released a ghost ship that Alice's mother had kept around. Really? Catching that little speed demon known as the Cutty Shark had been quite the ordeal. I still felt bad for having to rely on that creepy golden wolf for help. And before that, he lifted the seal on the trope of spirits in the basement, which had led to the even creepier people from the church coming to the mansion for an entire week. Going back even further, there was also the time he ventured unsolicized into Alice's room, and then soon chaos, I fell into the mirror, and we almost ended up in an all-out war with Alice. Wow. Come to think of it, he really and truly lacked any capacity of learning.
もういい加減にしてよね、あのバカ。
The good mood you've been in up until that moment was spoiled, and I went dashing out of the library. I imagined coming up the architect of my trouble standing there in the hallway and giving him the swift dropkick to the face he deserved. As far as I was concerned, that would be just another fun day in the mansion. Jump kick to someone's face. What a fun day. And so our little secret remained hidden on the bookshelf, likely never to be opened again.